Welcome developers. Today I'm going to take you through a short video demonstrating how to publish on itch.io. Now itch.io is a website dedicated for users to host, sell and download indie games. It is a huge community of passionate game developers and it's a great place for students or indie developers to show their work. Personally, I've been using it for years, and one of my favorite elements within itch.io is the game jams. Now there's some featured game jams that I think are really important. For example, we've got the GMTK or Game Makers Toolkit game jam for 2021 starting in just 3 days. But there's other game jams like the Kenny game jam or the Mix and Game Jam jams that are hosted on here as well. Obviously there are hundreds more, but definitely a great place for you guys to jump in and actually start developing games. Now the main thing of this video is showing you how to publish on itch.io. So the first thing you want to do is either log into an account that you've already created or account that has been provided to you, or potentially even register an account if you've never used itch.io before. I'm just going to log into one of my accounts. So once you've logged in, you'll be brought to your creator's dashboard, and inside of here, this is where you can actually upload and publish your games. Now there are obviously a bunch of other options in here, but I'm just going to focus on publication. So there's two ways to publish. First is if you've only got a few games, at the bottom of your page, you'll be able to click on the Create New Project option. Or if you've got a lot of games like I have on this itch site, you can come to the drop down here and go Upload New Project. Inside of here, this is where you're going to actually build out all the metadata for your game and upload your executable. I'm not going to focus on any specific engine in this tutorial, but obviously you can build out games from the slew of game engines available out there. Obviously the more common ones like Unreal and Unity, but there are heaps and heaps of game engines that you can utilize to make games to upload onto itch. So the first and probably the most important thing is the title. So in here, I'm just going to actually just use the title of unknown. I'm not going to focus on publishing a specific game. I'm just going to take you through the processes of publishing. The good thing about putting in your title is itch automatically generates a project URL based off the title of your game. So you don't have to worry too much about your project URL unless you want something specifically unique. The next thing is a short descriptor or tagline. This is kind of like your marketing hook for your game. This is meant to pull people in, get people excited about your game. Next is some marketing material. I'm going to jump into this straight away first. First is your cover image, which is almost like your app icon for your game. However, obviously it's designed for the itch ecosystem, so it is a larger rectangular image. So in here, we've got the minimum requirements for uploading your cover image, but I do suggest that you go for the recommended sizing here. Next is your gameplay video or trailer. The gameplay video can literally just be a screen cap of the gameplay of your game, or you can obviously put a lot more editing into it and really create a poppy trailer to get people excited. Next is screenshots. Obviously they do recommend a minimum of 3 screenshots. They are optional, but just as itch says, it is highly recommended. This is really just going to illustrate the overall gameplay of your game in a visual means. So moving on from more the marketing material, the visual aspects of the itch page, we're going to jump into more metadata. The first is what kind of classification is it? What are you actually uploading? A lot of time it's going to be a game, but you can upload other things like game assets, game mods, physical games like board games or print and play games, soundtracks, tools, comics, books, and other. The next is the release status. Is this game in development? Has it been fully released and will receive some sort of updates? Is it on hold? Is it cancelled so it won't be developed any further? Or potentially, probably the more common one, especially for students, is it's a prototype or an early prototype demonstrating the overall gameplay of the game, but you don't know if the game's going to move into a full released version or if it's going to continue development. Next is pricing. Pricing is really dependent on what account you're using. If you're using your own account, then by all means utilize the donate or paid options. But typically if you're provided with an account, you're going to want to select the no payments option. The next section is the upload. This is actually your game. This is where you would upload the files. You can upload a maximum size of 1 GB for each, and if it is above that size, you're going to have to use a cloud service like Dropbox. The next section is the details section. This is where you're going to include things like a description of your game. You may revisit your marketing hook again. It may include things like your key features, which is just 3 to 5 dot points describing the overall features or unique selling points of your game or gameplay. And I find that it is always good to put in the controls. Even though you may include the control schemes within your game, it just provides a little bit more information to the player or the user before they download it. The next section is the genre. Always recommended to select a genre that is appropriate for your game. And then the tags, which you can use a maximum of 10, but using tags is just going to make your game more describable on the itch platform. So it is highly recommended that you use them and use appropriate tags that clearly describe your game and its gameplay. If you actually do have this game available on other sites or app stores, you can link out to these app stores such as Steam, Apple, Google, Amazon, or Windows. And again, very recommended to do this so people can access your game on the relevant devices. If you want to put in a custom noun, changing it from the default of game, you can do that within itch, and it just helps really describe what the content is that you're uploading. The community on itch, there's a rich and diverse community. They really want to see game development thrive, and I think it's really important to leave comments on because it provides them an opportunity to provide feedback, give you praises, or actually identify whether there's issues they're facing downloading or playing your game. And finally is the visibility and access. This is how you publish your game. So once you actually go through all of this information, you'll have an option to make it public, which is essentially publishing the game so anyone on the itch community can actually see and download it. Restricted, obviously, for when you only want to have certain people look at the game, and draft when you're developing this metadata and uploading all this imagery. Cool, so I have got some examples to show you. The first is a student example where they've actually dived in here and put all this metadata in, uploaded a gameplay trailer, put in their screenshots, but they've also added a little bit more to this. And this is something that is outside of the actual create new project page. So once you actually go through, do all that content that we just went through, you do have an option to actually edit the theme of your page. And this is really going to make your game pop and be unique from the other itch pages that exist within the itch ecosystem. And you can do that by just clicking on the edit theme option, and in here you can change things like the background color, the text, the links color, you can change the font and the font size, you can change the layout of the screen, you can add in a banner image, this banner image here for example, and you can add a background image as well. I do highly recommend that you do this for your game because again it just makes it one cohesive whole. It makes it feel like a game page and it makes people really get a good strong idea of what your game's about. If you do need to go back in and edit your page, you can just click up on the published section here once you're on the page and you're back on the projects page where you can edit all the relevant information. I do have some other examples here. So this game is a HTML indie game. It's built right into the itch browser, so you can actually run and play the game inside of the itch ecosystem. This is really great for people that just want to get straight access to your game from a PC or browser. And there's a great 1-minute video from N3K that demonstrates how to upload a WebGL or HTML game to itch. And I'll include that YouTube video in the description below. The last example I wanted to show you, which is a more prominently known indie game called Celeste. I'm sure you guys have all heard about it, and you can see here the amount of effort that they've put into their itch page to really make it pop and clearly describe the game that you'll be downloading, and in this circumstance, paying for. Anyway, so that's it for the video. There's no real tangible outcome here. However, I think going through the various steps of publication in Itch is helpful, even though it is pretty straightforward. If you do have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next development.